How's it going, ladies and Bruces? I'm Sixkilla and welcome back to Sekimeiya, Chapter 2. Chapter 2. We are looking at this through Shiroya's eyes now, but we are basically running the same thing as Chapter 1, except things are slightly different in a lot of subtle ways. Or less subtle ways. Things are slightly different. Looking at it through Shiroya's eyes. But we're basically doing the same events again, but in a more expedited fashion. Hey, where are you two going? On the second floor, we turned around and saw Edina and Isla. They were alone and must have realised we'd left. I found this key and I'd like to know if it belongs to the security room. What? Without hesitating, Atsuki told Edina what his intent was, at which she looked a little surprised. After hearing that, she took Isla's hand and came with us. Isla didn't object, as it seemed the crystal floor was where she preferred to be. If Katai had a reason to keep us away from the security room, we couldn't know what it was. However, Atsuki suspected he might have lied more than once, so those lies might not have been told for the sake of confidentiality. That was why we left without telling them, to see what was inside the room before we could think of a way or excuse to keep us out of it. We were in front of the security room. The metallic door did resemble the key we'd found, and it was hard to believe they weren't a match. Atsuki inserted it in the keyhole and turned it. Huh? It enters all the way, but it's not unlocking it. The key was getting stuck in the middle of the turn, but as he'd said, it had to be the correct one. We stood behind him, confused. It means the door is open, right? Atsuki looked down and met Isla's face. After considering her conclusion, he turned the doorknob and pushed the door forward. You're right, what the hell? It wasn't even locked. This was the right key, though. In the hallway, we saw many lit up screens in front of us, illuminating a dim space. It seemed like a bit of smoke had leaked through the gaps of the door. Slowly, we made our way in, wondering whether Katai had purposefully lied or simply been incorrect. Katai said the alarm had locked the door. You think that was a lie to stop us from trying to open it? If that's it, he must have something to hide, probably on the computer. On top of the desk were 3 monitors. The one in the middle had its entire screen occupied by a messy program related to the security cameras, while both side monitors were only displaying the desktop. We got closer to them. There was a single chair in front of the middle screen that Atsuki gripped the back of. He was going to sit on it, but he stopped short. We thought the lights had gone off until we saw only the screens had, which darkened the room considerably. The ones above, though, displayed the real-time footage of the security cameras. All still working. Did the computer shut down? The fans are still going. Probably entered sleep mode because it's been a while since anyone used it. He grabbed the mouse, and as soon as he moved it, the 3 screens powered back on, showing the same images as before. Should I try to look at anything? We might get in trouble. If Katai's plan was to keep us out of this room, he won't be able to do so anymore. Maybe he wanted to find the key and lock the door before he realised it's open. You know, backing up what he said about the alarm locking it. I could see that a few programs were working in the background, thanks to the taskbar. Perhaps something we couldn't see was hidden in one of them. Hey, isn't that weird? What is? Behind the chair, Edina was looking at the live screens. They were showing different parts of the floor we were on, although a few of them displayed only a static, black image. According to Katai, that was due to the smoke covering them. But after looking at them for a few seconds, we noticed a large inconsistency Edina had seen. Yeah, that one. It's showing hallway B. Wait, you're right. How's that possible? Hallway B could be seen through one of the monitors, although a bit of smoke obstructed their view. It wasn't enough to block it completely. The angle was from a corner above the door to the lobby. That's basically where we fell unconscious. It's impossible the smoke didn't hit us as much as the other cameras. The difference is huge. Something must be wrong about this then. This has to be live footage since the ceiling and walls are covered by smoke. It follows that the difference had to be the camera itself. We turned around and stepped back into hallway A. The silence told us that nobody was close to us, but it was unlikely that it would continue for very long. Edina closed the security room behind her, causing a loud noise. The covered cabinet still sat awkwardly in the event room, which we passed through to enter hallway B. It's that one. In the left corner above the lobby door was a security camera with a flickering green light. All of us frowned. After all, it looked identical to the other ones, but with one very important distinction. There's almost no smoke on this lens. How's that even possible? The camera itself is much more stained, so there's no way the lens wasn't hit directly by the smoke. Was it clean then? I doubt anyone paid attention to this camera when we were here before, so we can't know how long it's been like this. If someone wiped off the smoke, it could only have been Katai or Naomi. Since I'm pretty sure Naomi was really knocked unconscious, only Katai has left. Maybe Sai could have, if he faked waking up after me. I don't know how though. Why are you sure there's no one else here? A hidden person could have done it too, yeah. We haven't seen anyone else. Isla. Something must have been used to reach it. And I think removing all the smoke stuck there would take some time. Maybe that's what Katai was hiding from us. Normally it's not likely we would have realized the lens was clean. It's black too, and there's very little light here. Yeah, and entering the security room made us notice it immediately. That might make more sense than him only wanting us to not use the computer. He could have just ordered us not to touch it. Do you seriously think he's behind this? I don't know. I just thought of a few of his claims didn't make sense. Being a member of the security staff would let him pull some things off, though, so maybe. Surely you two are aware of Shin, right? Yeah, Arcado talked about them briefly. I'm sure everyone who knows about them has assumed they're involved in this. I wouldn't rule out this whole thing being a complicated plan, so keeping this camera working might be what they want. We walked to hallway C, with a few things to question the others about. It didn't seem like they were trying to find us, as we would have immediately heard them calling. When we arrived at the 4th floor, we still hadn't found anyone. They might have continued looking through the other ones without us. I guess so. The bathrooms, where we'd last seen them, were open and empty. We circled through the floor and arrived on the 5th one for the first time. It didn't look any different from the others, and we couldn't see anyone. We repeated the same route as we had on the lower floors, reaching the last one we had access to. The attic's door should be here, so maybe we found a way to get in. We went to the opposite corridor, where we'd found the entrance to the next floor. Though it looked like a dead end at first, a grey door came into view when we got closer. Yeah, this must lead to the attic. Upon turning the knob, Ed and I realised the door was locked, like we'd been told. It can't be that they're inside. Maybe they followed us down and we missed each other. A little lost, we walked back and stood in front of the offices. We hadn't checked the last few, since it had seemed unlikely the others would still be looking through them. Atsuki and I checked the 3rd partition and didn't find anyone. Then we opened the 2 bathrooms, which were also vacant. The same was repeated on the 5th floor with identical results. When we were walking down the 4th, we stumbled upon someone going up. Oh, here you are. I couldn't find you. Are you alone? I am. Where'd you go? I was using the bathroom below and saw that nobody was still outside when I left. Huh. I found the key to the security room, so we went to the crystal floor. Katai inside didn't come with us, though. I'm confused. Why'd you not wait for us? Did you open the security room then? Yes. That's why we'd like to find Katai. I see. I looked through the remaining floors since I imagined you must have all kept going up, but they were empty. I got to the Ashiya's floor's door, which I couldn't open, and I walked back down to the crystal floor, but I haven't found anyone until now. It appeared we'd actually missed each other, since we'd looked through the floors above us. We kept going down. Oh hey, here you are. Where the hell did you go? Where's Katai? As soon as we stepped onto the 3rd floor, we reunited with Sai, who rapidly approached us. You're alone too? We found the key to the security room and went to the crystal floor. Where'd you find it? Atsuki saw it in the staircase. Huh, I see. You went to check if it worked. We nodded, awaiting his explanation. I suddenly saw you were all gone and didn't know if you walked down or toward the partitions, but I figured I hadn't noticed you gone down the stairs. I didn't find anyone when I went all the way down. I was going to search through the 1st floor until I heard the sound coming from the stairs that I followed up here. So we missed you on the crystal floor? He shrugged. I get what you're saying though. You were able to open the security room. Before we could explain the more important details, another person appeared from the corridor of the partitions. Oh, here you are. I knew I probably missed you up here. Where were you? I got out of the bathroom and saw that nobody was waiting outside, so I should be asking that. I didn't see anyone on the upper floor, so I went back down. I thought that maybe all of you went down to the crystal floor for some reason. It didn't seem like anyone was there though, so I figured you'd all be inside the offices somewhere and that I hadn't seen you. We probably missed each other when I was looking alone through the higher floors. Well, why'd you all leave? Of course nobody's seen Naomi, right? I'm curious about something. Why is it exactly we can't enter the security room? The security room? Didn't I mention it? The alarm locked it. And there's no way to undo that lock. No. That's surprising, seeing as they found the key and unlocked it. What? Atsuki took the silver key out of his pocket and showed it to him. What the hell? Of course I knew this key could unlock it, but where did you find it? In the staircase. It's very strange. There aren't many keys like this one, and I left mine inside the security room without thinking about it. That's why I thought we'd have no way to enter again. But you said that you left after the alarm played, right? You'd have had to unlock the door to get out if the alarm locked it. No, the keys needed to unlock it from the inside, and after closing the door from the outside it automatically locked itself again, since I didn't disable many of the alarm's functions. I'm confused. Even though we found this key, we didn't use it to unlock the door. It was already unlocked. Excuse me? That's not how it was programmed to work. Regardless, is that why you suddenly left? To see if you could open the security room? Yes. None of you are permitted to enter without my consent. Why was I not informed about the key? I'm sure it was because of the things that you said. I would have done the same thing. It appears the door being locked is just another dubious claim of yours. What? What's dubious about what I've said? And that must have been a malfunction in the alarm. I had no way to confirm that the lock had been set when I left since the interior knob does it with itself. And I didn't check whether the door had been locked automatically after I left. I should have, but it appears I didn't. I suppose that's not too ridiculous? Wait a second. We can enter the security room. Why the hell are we talking about this? Now we have a way to communicate with the outside. I said the alarm had shut it down because I thought it had locked the way in. We'll be able to look at the recorded footage as well. Oh, that's fantastic. Let's go then. Although it wouldn't exactly have been the alarm to have cut off our access to it. It would have been your ineptitude for not bringing your key out with you. I can't deny that. It was my mistake. And yet an identical key was found up here. We'll see if you can find yours inside the room. Katai nodded slowly and began to walk back. Then the conversation ceased and the rest of us followed in silence. I glanced over at Atsuki. His brief bout of investigation had been just that. Brief. Emptiness was the only thing written on his face whenever he wasn't pursuing some thought. Nobody next to him had a clue how he was feeling, and he decided to at least pass himself off as stable. His initiative from before had been a tad surprising, but it was clear that his mind was someplace else entirely. With how strong those emotions were supposed to be, adopting a made-up expression of sorrow was pathetically easy. Out of recent habit, the side of his face made my own a mirror, and I let my shoulders droop. We were walking down the stairs that led to the second floor when Sai's voice brought us to a halt. Katai, how many keys do you have? He turned around, staring at Sai uncertainly. What? That's not too hard of a question, is it? We understood the reason behind it. As soon as Katai had begun walking down the stairs, conspicuous metallic noises had come from him. Earlier, you did have a few keys, but the sound you're making just now was significantly different, like they doubled in number even. You're out of your mind. Perhaps, which is why I'm asking. What exactly is the issue? I'm trusted with many keys so that my job can go smoothly. Like I said, the issue is that it sounded like you have more now. Did you recently come across a few? No. I'm intrigued then. Care to show them? Maybe I'm going insane. I'd rather not. These aren't keys visitors are supposed to have. Did you miss the word show? I'm not going to take any. Seeing as he was against the request, Sai took a few steps forward. Although it was Katai who looked down on him, with a quick motion, Sai stuck his hand into and removed it from Katai's deep pocket, where the metallic sound had come from. Hey! With one finger, Sai was holding a keyring with 4 keys on it. I suppose these would make the noise. Why did you not want to show them to us? Because I didn't feel like humouring your condescending attitude. Are you satisfied now? Hardly. What do they open? And what's this thing? Tape? Stuck on the keyring was a dark, tiny piece of material. When he separated it from the keys, we identified it as duct tape, and that it had been hit by the smoke. Wait, isn't that one? I grabbed the keys and looked at them on my palm. Yeah, the Sekimeiya cabinets. This is the keyring Naomi had. Oh, wouldn't that explain it? Naomi's keyring? That's a big leap you're making. This is my own, with some keys that Naomi has. It has the spark on it, dipshit. Are you sure? Yes, I'm aware of the keys I'm given. This was the original set, in fact. Naomi was given a replica of it, since her job was recently expanded. So all these keys belong to you, and you didn't find any just now? Yes. You do understand there's a simple way to prove whether you're lying, right? What are you talking about? I see, you don't get it. You're claiming these keys are yours, am I right? You didn't just come across Naomi whatsoever. You're being very irritating. How do you intend to prove whatever accusation you're making? It's not a definitive way, but earlier you said that Naomi has an attic key that you don't. Yeah? So if one of these keys open the attic, we can confirm you're lying. Which I was already fairly certain of. How does that sound? I think this one might fit in the keyhole we saw. This one? It's definitely the odd one out. I'm glad Naomi couldn't keep it separately. Sai turned around and began to go up the stairs. Even though going to the security room was a priority, nobody stopped him. If he was right and Katai had recently obtained that keyring, he must have known Naomi's whereabouts, and had been given those keys after setting up the illusion that the attic would only be accessible for her. What are you even trying to prove? There are quite a few things I'm simply not allowed to speak about. As we were reaching the 6th floor, Katai mumbles, stopped Sai. Are you implying that you didn't tell us that you had the key for the attic so we wouldn't try to access it? I'm implying that you're vastly overstepping. That might sound imposing if you hadn't lied so much already. You're merely assuming that. Of course, I can't prove that the security room didn't stay open because of an error, so yeah, I will assume that it was something you had said to temporarily cover your ass. You'll end up regretting all this. So I ignored him and looked at his side, where the elevator was. He approached it and pressed the circular button, which Katai had promised would do nothing earlier. I might as well check if the elevator is still working, due to another error, since it seems your claims can be ignored. The elevator was disabled. That's much more unlikely to have gone wrong. If it had been working for some reason, the button would have lit up when it arrived. Do you remember the lights in the lobby? That was also caused by the alarm, so it appears the security room was a single exception. So I accepted that Katai was probably right in that instance and kept walking. After making it around the floor, we stood in front of the steady-looking door. I picked the key that seemed to fit and inserted it in the keyhole. After a turn, the door was unlocked. So I wasted no time opening it and looking within. I give you all a warning, do not enter this place. This is a very special floor that must not ever be accessed by visitors. Let me tell you what's actually happening now. Given how likely it is that Naomi's in this place, and you're planning to enter it freely, we're going to ignore your little warning. Once again, even though Katai looked around at everyone, nobody stepped forward to side with him. Naomi must be hiding in this building. If she hasn't shown herself yet, she must want to keep on hiding. You said you wanted to find her too, right? Regardless of whether the two of you are working together, she's probably here. We just confirmed the elevator's not working, so she's cornered. I can't believe what I'm hearing. Go ahead and screw yourselves over, but don't be surprised by the consequences. Without a second thought, Sai went past the door and began to climb up a dark staircase. We followed behind him, forming a single file line within the narrow space. Sai stopped at the top, in front of another closed door. After applying force to open it, we could make out the room in front of him. Atsuki and I were behind, so the three of us were first to see what was on the sofa. Whoa, what's that doing there? Is that Sekimeiya? Yes. We don't describe its looks to the people who hadn't seen it, but a bright egg was exactly what was resting on the sofa. What? Was it Broadhair? Do you really see the Sekimeiya in there? Why are you not going in? Wait, the floor had recent footprints on it, and someone was here not long ago. You don't say. If the Sekimeiya's there, someone must have brought it up. Oh, that could be really bad. It needs to be put in its cabinet immediately. Please step aside. Do you think these footprints make any sense? He looked at the two of us. I stared at the floor, trying to understand what he was getting at. A few seconds later, neither of us had responded. It's a little hard to see. Maybe I'm misinterpreting them. Can you go in so we can see what you mean? Are you talking about the faded ones? Yeah, they don't continue. And not only those. Please let me get through. The Sekimeiya has to be brought down. I already told you how important that is. I looked at the floor again. The fuzzy carpet had preserved the more recent footprints, so the movements of the person who'd been there had been recorded. It didn't seem like there was a security camera anywhere, so the footprints were the sole indication of who'd been there. There was a line of them going from our door to the sofa, and it looked like it had been traced more than once. Then from the sofa, a single pair of footprints went to the door, and from there they came back to where they were. Sai took a big step forward, trying to cover the least possible existing footprints. Atsuki and I did the same. You're right, it's the Sekimeiya. As soon as he saw it, he rushed to it, but stopped abruptly at the sofa. Oh, it's pretty. Stop, none of you must touch it. That could worsen things even more. Doesn't seem damaged to me. Is that not how it usually looks? Edina, Isla, and Arcado joined us on the left side, beside the footprints Katai had run over. Are you sure it would damage it? Naomi said we could touch it. Under normal circumstances, yes. Have you not heard what I've been saying? The cabinet downstairs provides it with a cold temperature. If you were to touch it with your bare skin, it would heat up even more, and that could be dangerous. So, was it not you who left it here? What? No, of course not. Well, your footprints are pretty much identical to the ones you just stepped on, and you had the key to enter. Katai frowned and looked at his feet. The footprints we'd seen looked fairly recent, so it was easy to notice the resemblance. That's ridiculous, look at Arcados. You can't tell me they're any different? And out of the two, who could have entered this place? Neither of us, probably. To get the Sekimeiya here, I would have had to go to the crystal floor, up to the attic, and then back down, all without taking the elevator. And you all remember I appeared from below where you were. There's no way I would have had enough time. Are you forgetting Naomi? She's the one person who could have left these. Unless she gave her key to someone else, I can't believe she'd leave the Sekimeiya here. She knew full well about the cold it needs. I really don't believe these are Naomi's. According to you, she could still be here, right? Where do these two doors go? That one goes to the kitchen, that's the hallway. It's still visible. Under the more recent footprints, there are the other ones. Much harder to notice and it's smaller in size. Unlike the rest, they go from the entrance to the sofa, where the Sekimeiya is. Oh, you're right. That one's different. They go to the Sekimeiya, so I would think that's when it was left on the sofa, but it can't be it since it should have been on the crystal floor then. What I'm confused about is that they don't seem to continue. Once they get to the sofa, they don't go anywhere else. I don't believe they go back to the door either, but I might be missing the returning ones. Now that Katai walked over them, it's even harder to be sure. It's still somewhat possible to distinguish the size and direction they're going to. Without a doubt, they don't belong to the same person who left the other ones. In other words, Katai. What kind of movie are you making in your head? A mystery. You went to the sofa and probably placed the Sekimeiya there. Perhaps there was something else sitting on there that the previous person had left. Then you went through the door which leads to the hallway and later came back to leave through the main door. However, this doesn't make much sense either. Going off the number of footprints, it seems like you went from the door to the sofa twice, but only once from the sofa to the hallway. What the hell happened here? You didn't jump to the kitchen, did you? This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. We'll have to go back down, right now. I thought you wanted to find Naomi. Like I said, the older footprints don't seem to lead through that door, and the elevator doesn't work. That means she's probably still here. This is a very small place. It shouldn't take more than half a minute to confirm it. By the way, what's that smell? I was wondering that, it's a bit strong. I know, this place is pretty much abandoned. Must be something from here, it's not that bad. I feel like I smelled it before, but I don't know where. Really? I might be imagining it. So I tried to power on the TV, but it didn't seem functional. Then he opened the hallway door, showing they didn't care about stepping over the footprints anymore. Well, let's see if Naomi's here, come on. Every room was quickly checked. The entire attic was arranged like a modest apartment, but it was well preserved, probably thanks to Naomi. I finished at the higher level of the left bedroom. Aside from the bedrooms, there was only one bathroom, the kitchen, and an empty storage room with no light. Surprisingly, there were security cameras, even in the bedrooms. And Naomi had nowhere to be found. To make sure she couldn't have left it unseen, Katai and Akito had waited in the hallway and living room respectively, so we could be certain that the attic had been empty when we arrived. All of us reunited. I don't get it either. What the hell is Naomi doing? You're right, it's bizarre, but only because of the footprints I pointed out. You have Naomi's keyring, so you must know where she is. In addition, it seems like your own footprints did the same as hers, at least one of the times they went from the entrance to the sofa. I'll repeat myself, those were not mine. Honestly, the question is there, no matter who they belong to. From the sofa, the only way to stop the footprints would be by jumping to the kitchen, which isn't carpeted. Suddenly he turned around and entered the hallway. I peeked in and saw him walking toward the elevator. He grabbed its handle and tried to open it. Just like on the crystal floor, it didn't budge. I already checked if it was there. Once small silent seconds had passed, he pressed the elevator button, sighing after nothing occurred. This doesn't make any sense. Unless I misinterpreted it, the person who left the footprints should still be here. Maybe even two people. Was it a trick in case we noticed them? What if the first person stayed on the sofa, and when Katai came in, they exited through the main door, stepping over his footprints to take advantage of the bigger shoe size? Everyone went quiet. To say it must have seemed like we'd found his thought too ridiculous. I know that it still doesn't explain the set of Katai's footprints that didn't continue, but that could have been fabricated by him at once, if he wanted to make it seem like he walked to the sofa twice. Nobody said anything in response. When he realized we were all staring at something, he turned around to find the spot, but failed to notice anything important. What the hell are you looking at? The button. It lit up for a second, right? Yeah. It did. What? Again, he grabbed the handle and pulled it toward him. We heard and saw the elevator opening. Pressing the button and brought it to the attic, and its interior was empty. Oh, it's working. Now we can use it. Of course, they just left with the elevator, and it had to be that. Katai. We heard a sigh coming from the living room and subsequent footsteps approaching. Oh, the elevator was here. No, the elevator was not here. I just called it, and it arrived. What? That's not possible. They all saw it. The elevator is working. But it wasn't a few minutes ago. We just tested it. Did the alarm have not affected the attic spot? No, it did. I believe you're lying again. After all, your footprints indicated that you escaped from here in the same way the others did. And it can only have been done with the elevator. I'll choose to stop playing along with you. However, if the elevator's really working, I can only think of one explanation that makes sense. It was just enabled minutes or seconds ago while we were all here. Oh, I see, it just turned on magically. That makes total sense. Have you forgotten about Naomi again? She still has to be somewhere. Not only that, but you left the security room open. And and she might have had enough information to know how to revert some effects of the alarm. You're so stupid. What? Of course, if the elevator has been enabled just now, Naomi, who most likely left the initial footprints, couldn't have escaped this place. However, you just said you left the security room open. Have you forgotten about the lie you told us earlier? You said that after closing the door of the security room, it would lock itself automatically. So, did you just assume that they didn't close the door after leaving? Did you see it open, maybe? I'm pretty sure we did close it when we left. I know it was closed when I went back up. That's why I'm saying all this, and of course, it didn't lock itself automatically. Which is why he said that you'd left it open, completely ignoring the contradictory claim he made earlier to cover his previous lie up. I'm not sure why you sound so excited. So am I wrong? You're on a wrong streak. We've already determined earlier that the alarm had undergone an error, and that it hadn't locked the security room after I left it, did we not? Why would I assume that it worked after they closed it? I figured the error had probably repeated, and that even if they closed the door, it would not have locked itself again. I don't know what your problem is, but cut it out. As I said, now we might have just re-enabled the elevator. How do you pretend to explain the footprints then? Hell if I know. I barely get what you're talking about. I'm inclined to believe it's another delusion of yours. Now for the love of God, let's go to the crystal floor. Naomi might well be there, and the Sekimeiya needs to be put in the cabinet. We have to contact the outside as well. Alright, we'll take the elevator. Oh, not all of us will be able to at once. Only 4 people can use it. As soon as she heard that, Isla rushed inside, dragging Edina by her shirt. Me, I'm going. Elevator. You still have the attic key, right? Yes. Well, we'll walk down then. It's very important that this floor remains locked, even if Naomi has her own key. I don't want any of you coming in without my knowledge. Sure. Sai and Akira entered the elevator. Hurry up and leave now. You won't be able to make it back up without the key. As you see, it's required to enable floor 7's button. We won't leave until you're gone. Sai rolled his eyes and let go of the door. A few seconds later, Katai checked that the elevator had left. Spent a few seconds in, thought before lightly pushing Mai and Atsuki's shoulders back. Since he had left the living room, Atsuki went there through the kitchen, confirming that the attic was empty, although it was clear that nobody had gone there, just by looking at the floor's footprints. Katai stared at the Sekimeiya for a few seconds, then he crouched to lift it up and held it in his hands, using the long sleeves of his uniform. Let's go. So he already knows how it works then, because he's already protecting his hands from it. We carefully went down the dark staircase. Outside, I took the keyring out of my purse and locked the door. Through the silence, we descended. I caught a glimpse of Atsuki's face again. I've been trying to avoid looking at it. Usually I figured he would have taken Sai much more seriously than he was, but he'd hardly appeared to care about what he'd said. His suspicion toward Katai hadn't been the indicator I'd been waiting for. How much longer would I have to play along for? Ever since she'd exited our lives, I kept telling myself that eventually it would all go back to how it was at the beginning. However, dealing with his attitude until then, and with my parents in the background, was way too frustrating. We were living in his house, which had been his immediate idea, If it weren't for that, I would have assured his mental state wasn't going to get better anytime soon, and that he wanted to remain alone. Behind Atsuki was Katai, who my focus switched to. His face was hardly any more pleasant sight, as he looked slightly distressed and in pain. Traces that disappeared as soon as his eyes met mine. I had no clue what happened during the attack, but plenty of things about my guy were iffy at best. Yes, he's iffy, that's for sure. As soon as we began to step down the last staircase, I saw a few people in hallway A who immediately gestured to us to hurry toward them. Take a look at the security room. Edina and Isla were next to its door. Peering inside, Katai paid no mind to Sai and pushed open the door to the event room. With one hand, he raised the curtain, opening the glass, and put the Sekimeiya inside. Oh, give me the keys. I took them from my purse and handed them to him. This is a manual lock, right? Does it shut the cabinet without the need for the key? Edina, Isla, and Akira were looking from the door, indicating with their eyes that something had been found. Yes, I was just going to lock it. Atsuki turned the dial on the left side of the cabinet and verified that it could only be unlocked with the key identical to the one Naomi had used. Do not take it under any circumstances. It's very likely Naomi brought it to the attic, so we need to find her as soon as possible. I bet you want to know what happened in the security room first. What happened? Sai jerked his head, telling us to see for ourselves. Awkwardly, Katai made his way to the hallway and walked up to the security room. What? Was it like this when you came down? Yes, the elevator has been re-enabled, so I wanted to go to the security room. This is how we found it. Atsuki and I, who hadn't yet seen the problem, approached the room. It was very easy to tell that what was wrong from the hallway. Every monitor was displaying a black screen and the drone of the computer had ceased. Did the computer stop working? There's still the ceiling light, so I assume so. The computer did not stop working, it must have been turned off. The monitors above it won't display anything while the computer's off. He walked into the room while everyone entered after him. However, after pressing the power button, there was no change. What the hell? Also, the door was closed but not locked, just like you figured. See? I have no idea what was done, but the computer couldn't have stopped working by itself. You didn't do it? Me? Well, you were on this floor before you reunited with us, right? I was only here for a few seconds, unlike you all. The computer was working when we left. We could have used it for several things, so it must have been disabled deliberately. Who could have done that? You, Akiro, Sai, or Naomi? Katai glanced at Sai as mentioned, as he was under the impression that he'd been with us, and we'd gone down. Yeah, you didn't hear that, but I wasn't with them the whole time. I didn't enter this room, though. What about Atsuki? The four of us went together. I see. So from your point of view, we're the only people who could have entered this room after you left it with the computer running. You might be ignoring something, though. Someone used this computer after we all met up again. The elevator was re-enabled when we were in the attic, which means Naomi turned off the computer after doing so, and is still hiding. That makes sense because she'd know what we could do with it. Would she have really known how to power on the elevator? Even if she didn't know in detail, it's fairly simple to work out. I imagine she was told about the alarm and its functions after all. I thought that made enough sense, except for one important detail. But if Naomi didn't want us to use this computer, why did she not power it off earlier? Probably because she was in the attic, but most importantly, because she thought this room was locked, even though it remained open because the alarm failed to lock it. If it's true that the alarm should have locked it after leaving, sure. But even if it did malfunction, the only reason why we didn't enter before was because you'd left your key inside, right? Normally, she would have expected you to bring it out, and should have been able to open the door whenever. It can't be that she cared about using the computer because she should have been able to get in here right away, while it was still working. I forgot about that key. You said you left yours in this room, so where is it? Katai opened a drawer and took out all the papers as he spoke. It's possible she was keeping track of what we were doing from somewhere, and knew that I hadn't unlocked the room yet. When she saw that you'd been able to open it, you gave her an easy chance to power off the computer, even though I don't know how exactly she did it. I'm not sure why you're all having such a hard time believing me. Because you're you. It's not here. Atsuki took the key he found out of his pocket. This must be your key then. I guess so, but how the hell did it make it to the 3rd floor? Katai took it from Atsuki's hand and left it in some drawer he'd searched through. Nobody answered him. Before, Atsuki had told me that he'd seen Katai staring at the floor on the higher levels of the building. If he'd known that the key would be somewhere, he must have deliberately withheld that, aware that the door had been left open. Then, as soon as we managed to enter, someone had rushed to power off the computer. The intentions of that person coincided with Katai's if Atsuki's theory was right. What's clear is that whoever shut down the computer enabled the elevator before doing so, and Katai's the one person who could definitely know how to do that. I agree that it seems strange that Naomi would know how to accomplish that without having a lot of time to experiment, so it could be that powering off the computer enabled the elevator at the same time. It shouldn't have been the case, but I can't rule it out with the lack of testing this alarm had. Go see whether the lobby's lights are working again. If they are, it's possible the alarm's secondary effects were reversed when the computer was turned off, as the way to disable them is very different from the main one, which blocks the exit. Even though the computer doesn't work, the camera system works independently. I don't know if it was shut down, so it's possible the cameras are still recording, and that we simply can't look at the footage. I want to try a few things here to see if I can get the computer running again. So, you can leave me be if you want. I'll recommend once again that we found Naomi. After a light shrug, Sai spoke. Sure. We still haven't looked through this entire floor. If we can't find Naomi here, we'll have to search the entire building in more depth. Oh, there's something else I meant to ask you. Inside the elevator, there's a stop button that's supposed to enable communication with the outside. Would that help us? No, it won't. The alarm's effects might not have worked perfectly, but one of them is to disable that connection. If you press the button, you'll get locked inside until 9 o'clock, so I'd advise you not to do it. I see. I'm glad we didn't go for it then. Sai moved to hallway A and the others followed him. I was about to leave as well, but Katai's look stopped me. Once he and I were alone, he spoke in a quiet whisper. How well do you know Atsuki? The two of you are friends, right? Oh, yeah. We hadn't spoken much, but we'd been together in the lobby, and we're the same age, so it made sense he'd assume that. Do you trust him? Huh? I don't know if you're working with him, but if you are, I warn you to stop whatever you're doing. But if you aren't, I'll tell you directly. He's lying. He's lying to you and everyone else. He's the one who brought the Sekimeiya to the attic. No, he wasn't. I've been with him the entire time. Look, if you're actually unaware of whatever he's doing, make sure to keep an eye on him. And don't ever leave him alone. Make sure he can't ever take the Sekimeiya. Internally, I laughed, of course, suspecting Atsuki hadn't even crossed my mind at all. Under normal circumstances, I might possibly have believed that he was messing around and something he'd done had been misinterpreted, but Kataya just outed himself as a liar. Out of curiosity, why are you saying he brought the Sekimeiya to the attic? I can't tell you that, but you can take my word for it, I'm certain that he did. I tried not to snort and walked out into hallway A. I don't know what was up with Kataya, but everything about him was questionable. Why did he tell me that? If it was all a lie, what did he plan to accomplish by telling me about it, without even specifying any details? Even if he really did believe it, why would he have told the person most likely to be working with the suspect? From all I could tell, this guy was a moron, plain and simple. At least Sai thought about what he'd said, even if he came across as a loose cannon. I saw the others had gone to the lobby, so I joined them. And with that, we need to wrap this episode up because we are out of time for today. But that is actually going quite differently. It's very interesting how differently it's running. And also Shiroya's perspective on her relationship with Atsuki. Because she seems to view it quite differently. It seems from her perspective that Atsuki's the one who's been distant and stuff. Whereas when we were in Atsuki's mind, it seemed like she was the one who had changed. I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.